So this was the big story this week. An AI-generated piece of music went viral for the first time. If you guys didn't catch the story, it is amazing. I'm going to walk you through the sort of specifics, the details, the legal implications of what happened, as well as, and I think most importantly, why I see this as a very, very exciting, good news story and why it actually could be a promising sign that we have new revenue streams that we can look forward to as artists, composers, and producers. But let's go ahead and get into it. If you didn't hear about this one, there was essentially a producer by the name of Ghostwriter 977 who essentially created a brand new track and used an AI app to translate his vocals and the words that he wrote into the voices of The Weeknd and Drake, which are, of course, huge, pretty much top of the world charting artists right now. Now, this track that he put together was called Heart on My Sleeve, and it went super, super viral. They said they actually had around 15 million streams after all was said and done, basically on every type of music streaming platform, every type of social media. And not only was it just sort of like an amazing piece of technological breakthrough, and it got a lot of people just interested in it because it was purely AI generated, but there was a large number of people online that were actually spoofed and fooled and actually believed it was a real new track by Drake and The Weeknd. So naturally, their record label, Universal Music Group, said that the training of generative AI using our artist music represented both a breach of agreements and violation of copyright law. So of course, the track was taken down and is no longer monetizable. And obviously that's now going to be the big legal implication of what happened here. Okay. So is this fair use? Is this a parody? You know, those are all the issues that essentially are going to start to play out now. We are kind of at that Napster moment where, if you don't remember, Napster was a file sharing service, but basically people were committing copyright violations using a file sharing network. So the question was, is Napster culpable for what their users are doing? And, you know, there were all these sort of questions lingering, kind of swirling around in the air. And that's exactly where we are today with this story. To me, I can't get into all the details because I'm not a lawyer and I don't understand all the legal specifics here. But to me, one of the big issues that gets in the way or basically determines whether or not an infringement has happened is whether or not there was confusion created in the marketplace. So, for example, if somebody listened to that song and actually believed it was Drake or The Weeknd, which is reasonable to assume because a lot of people did, then that could definitely create problems because this producer essentially used the image and likeness of those artists. He didn't say it was an AI spoof. He basically just used their names specifically, directly, and obviously used their voices, right, through this AI app. So that created confusion in the marketplace. People really didn't know if this was an AI created piece of content or if it was an original piece of content from the artists themselves. So the artists could actually be harmed by this because if they were deciding to potentially, let's say, collaborate and partner on a song in the near future, but this track blew up before theirs, that could potentially harm their ability to monetize and market basically some new music they were going to create. So to me, there's a clear case of copyright violation here just based on that marketplace confusion, because that's usually what separates a lot of clear cases from the ones that are a little bit murky. But here's the positive side of this. This is what I'm seeing, which I'm not hearing from a lot of other people, which to me is very surprising. I think for the first time in human history, we're going to have to think about new licenses for our music, right? If you think about it, copyright law was not needed until we had recorded music, right? So if you didn't have any sort of way to play back music, perform it in public, have other people enjoy it, there was really no reason or need to essentially have kind of a whole copyright law system set up. So you think about it, our laws usually sort of catch up with the technology to provide a new framework for whatever is possible, right? So just like copyright law sort of caught up with recorded audio and recorded music, well, we are now in a new space where essentially my voice right now can be emulated and copied and basically put into new forms of media. Now, what I see, which is obvious, is that's a new licensing play for us as artists, potentially as musicians, composers, instrumentalists, who knows, right? But could Drake or The Weeknd essentially license the sonic qualities of their voices, basically calling it maybe like a sonic license that other artists, other producers could potentially use, right? They could use the sonic qualities of a particular artist, vocalist, maybe even a instrumentalist, something like that, but they would have to pay that original artist a licensing fee to be able to do that, right? So imagine if, this track blows up, does really well, goes super viral. Drake and The Weeknd, I would imagine, aren't super excited or happy about this. I'm not specifically sure if they are or not. But imagine they had been cut in on the profits of that, right? So not only did they get the additional exposure and basically take over the entire news cycle for a week, but they also generated new income that they hadn't even thought about before. I don't know if they'd be that mad about it. And if they didn't want to have that as a possibility for new income, they could potentially opt out and not allow their voice to be licensed sonically, right? So we have to now start thinking, and this is like the whole theme of my channel and why I'm starting to branch out from my traditional views of how we make money, is because with new technology, we have to start thinking more creatively about what we can monetize now, because monetizing the sound, the sonic quality, the literal, the audio sound waves coming out of my voice, we really couldn't monetize that itself before, the quality of our voices before, maybe some of our instruments or our performances. But with AI technology, now we possibly can. So is this a brand new source of revenue? I do think it is going to be that way, and I'm very, very optimistic about this. My entire point of view with all of these AI news stories that are coming out is that I don't see it as AI replacing us or music being much less in demand as a result of these AI technologies, or music, let's say, from artists being squashed, essentially, for people not really wanting original music anymore, because AI can do it much better. What I see is an additive effect here, right? I see an abundance of demand that is certainly it's going to grow and grow and grow from the marketplace as these technologies go out. Right now, just imagine to yourself, who's your favorite artist? Let's even go further. A favorite artist of yours that's no longer living, okay? So let's think of, Jimi Hendrix, right? Would I be interested in hearing what Jimi Hendrix's voice would sound like on a modern day rock song or a pop song or maybe even a hip hop song? I'm kind of interested in that, okay? Or what if I wanted to hear what Drake sounded like on a classic big band jazz number? That would be kind of cool. He might not personally ever do that himself, but what if somebody else basically paid for the license to use his sonic qualities of his voice and transformed it into some really cool new piece of art? We are now opening up, this is sort of the start of us opening up the bounds of creativity that we never could have done before. Technology just didn't allow us to do this before. But now we're starting to see a little glimpse into the future about what's possible. And I see this as a win-win-win for everybody, right? Drake gets a cut because it's his voice and he worked really hard to monetize that and to bring value into the marketplace with his music, with his style, with his lyrics and his personality and everything he's done, right? Over the years, he deserves for sure to get a cut of that. And we, as consumers, win because we get to hear some amazing new takes on artists and music that we've never heard before. And the original, or I should say the new producer or remixer, whoever's creating this sort of cover version, right? Whatever, I don't know what we're going to call these things. It's not really covers and they're not really parodies, but whatever they're going to be, retakes essentially and reimagined takes on certain artists' music. They're going to get a little cut as well because they are putting some amazing creative effort into these things and generating new art for us all to consume. So I see this as a win-win-win. I think this is a really, really promising sign. I am not being bummed out by this at all, but I want to know what you think. Are you seeing that this is going to be a terrible thing for artists, terrible thing for musicians? What other possibilities do you see? I want to hear it. Leave your comment below.